That, my friends, is how you respond after a walk-off defeat the night before. How we doing, everybody? It's Wardy here, and I'm so excited to get into today's post-game show. We're going to take live callers in the second half portion of today's live event because I have to give back to the community today. When the boys put up a 19-piece NDC, we got to break it down. We have so much to get into in this one. Everyone's crying about Brandon Nimmo's lack of production, and Buddy puts up not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven, but 9 RBIs. Are you kidding me? Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil, Luis Angel Acuna, Pete Alonso, and Jesse Winker, everyone and your mother had yourself a day. And just like that, everybody, the boys are the first team in Major League Baseball to get to 20 wins on the season. And we're going to break down everything that transpired in this latest game victory here. 29 on the season for the boys. They got a series beginning tomorrow against the Diamondbacks. But today, let's break down everything that transpired, inning by inning, in this masterful win for the boys. Like I said, we'll be taking your live calls towards the second half of today's show, so it'll be cut off for replay viewers for anyone that's wondering in advance, because we're going to be north of an hour here. Then I'm going to be taking live callers today. I am so excited to get into this one. After yesterday's loss in a deflating fashion, a walk-off fashion, the boys bounced back big time. Everybody spam those W's live on the replays. You chime in the live chat, in the comments down below. I want to see them spam right here, right now. Dave, thank you so much for the $5 holla. Dave says Ahmad Rosario is better than Jose Urena. Nimmo's the man. LFGM, thank you so much for the donation. Brian Torres with the $5 holla right away says Nimmo is allowed to first pitch swinging for a week. 1,000%. Nimmo just bought himself a week of doing whatever the heck he wants, and we just have to deal with it. What a ball game for the Amazons. Are you kidding me? Spam those W's in the chat, everybody. Steve, thank you for the donation. Steve says Nimmo 9 RBIs, ties Mets club single game record set 17 years ago by Carlos Delgado. Absolutely, back on June 27th, 2008. Talk about a slump buster. Talk about it indeed, everybody. Get the hype going. Let's get the excitement going. This is the latest WardyNYM post-game show presented by our awesome friends here at SeatGeek. If you guys don't know the drill with SeatGeek, let me enlighten you here just for a second. Jeremy, thank you for the donation. We'll get into it in a minute. Guys, SeatGeek has you covered with all of your ticketing needs. Make sure to check them out by clicking that link down below in the description and using our promo code WARDY10. That way you too will get 10% off your next ticket purchase for whatever you guys have interest in. Whether it's for Mets tickets as soon as tomorrow against the Diamondbacks here. As you guys can see, we're going to take a look in the SeatGeek app, the #1 rated ticketing app in the game, because they have a grading scale 1 to 10 and a color coordination scale of red to green, which gives you a great idea as to what are the best bang for your buck tickets. And as you guys see right there, 2 tickets at 26 per on a rating scale of 8, and in the green is exactly what you want to hammer if you guys have interest in getting anything from Mets tickets or whatever you need on the ticketing front, as SeatGeek is back not only with over 70,000 live events today for you to choose from, but they are our official partner here on the WardyNYM platform all season long. I know a lot of you guys have enjoyed using that promo code, so make sure you use it, Wardy10, link down below. As always, we got A. Lavelle with the $29 holla. Thank you so much for that. Alvin, thank you so much for the donations from the both of you. I greatly appreciate that, folks. But everybody, you know the drill by now, and if you're new, don't worry, you're going to find out here in a second. Eric, thank you so much for the donation as well. I really appreciate that. We're going to get to them all here in just a second, everybody. But first, you know the drill by now, everybody. If you don't, let me enlighten you. We got to let it rip with the one, the only, the official WardyNYM post-game jingle, baby. Let's effing go. Let's do this. Shout out to my guys Greg and Jordan, as always, with the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. I also apologize as I went out of focus there for a second. There we go. Brendan, thank you so much for the $2 holla. Brendan says, listening at work, I am so hyped. How can you not be hyped? The boys went out today and they balled out. It was batting practice on former Met now foe there and Trevor Williams. 1200 with a $2 holla. Thank you so much. 1200 says right away, Budo would have blown that game if he played. I mean, Jose Urena didn't help too much there that we saw in the ninth inning when the boys were up by, like, what, 15 at the time at least? Mark Vientos hit a bomb off of Ahmad Rosario just because he wanted to put the nail in the coffin, and I absolutely love it. And you have to put the nail in the coffin after the Mets blew yesterday's game, being up 6 runs the way they were. Let's see here in the donations. Eric, thank you so much for the donation. He says 20 wins, best MLB record. Nimmo, 9 RBIs. Let's go. You said it, baby. Alvin with the $2 holla says Mets got revenge for the loss. I think that's an understatement on the revenge front. A Lavelle with the $29 holla. Thank you so much. He says, what's up, Wardy? I hope you and your family are doing well. Same to you and yours. Always appreciate you, A Lavelle. What's up, chat? How we feeling? 20 for the wins, 9 for Nimmo, waking up his bat. LFGM, thank you so much for that donation. I appreciate that. Wardy surprise the arena jersey giveaway. You guys wish I was giving up a Jose Urena jersey. No, you guys wish I was giving away a Brandon Nimmo jersey, but you're in luck because we are, everybody. We're giving away a jersey of whatever player you want on the roster once we hit 33,000 subscribers on the platform. If you guys have followed, we're only a couple hundred subs away, so smash a like and subscribe on your way in for the most consistent coverage on the Mets every single day here on YouTube, 24/7, 365. We got you covered as we always do, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in. Steve, great member with the $2 holla. Urena and Budo will compete to be a Pete's home run pitcher. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that donation. I appreciate it. Jeremy with the $5 holla earlier says, Wardy, you were mispronouncing it. I believe it's pronounced Brandon Nimmo. You were 1,000% right. Brandon Nimmo, more like Brandon Nimmo. What a game for Brandon Nimmo and this Mets team. They needed the bats to break out. And you want to know the best part of it all? I mean, it depends on who you talk to. The Mets got 19 runs today. And you want to know how many runs Juan Soto drove in? Yeah, Juan Soto didn't do anything outside. He got on base four times yesterday, but the defensive blunder hurt him. Then today, he ripped himself a nice base hit or so, but that was about it. Soto actually had 2 hits today. I apologize, everybody. So he had an opposite field double and had himself a pulled single, too. He did his part in Juan Soto, but the rest of the offense picked it up big time. What a ball game, everybody. Not only is Brandon Nimmo the first man in Mets history since 2007 in June, where Carlos Delgado drove in 9 runs, but Brandon Nimmo is also the first batter since Shohei Ohtani to hit 2 home runs and drive in the amount of runs that he did today. Absolutely dominant stuff from Brandon Nimmo. He's going to take up a large portion of today's discussion. Don't you guys worry. And I'm actually going to put it in the chat right now for each. Oh, I just hit something. Let's make sure that we don't have an error. We are good. One final thing to share, everybody, before we break down this ball game is the fact that, again, we are going to be taking live callers here in the show once we are done breaking down the ball game. So let me check it right now. Going to put in the chat, stay tuned for live call-in show later in the stream. Perfect. Dave, thank you so much for the $2 donation. Dave says, send Urena down and bring up Nunez. We all want Daniel Nunez, but he's not coming up yet because the Mets are going to be bringing up Brandon Waddell to start that game against the Cardinals there that we're going to see on Wednesday most likely as a 6th starter. We'll talk more about that in this one. Yoshima, thank you so much for the donation. Yoshima with the $5 holla states the following: needed this game, destroying the Nationals like we should be. Salute to Jose Urena for your assistance. We shall never see you again. Seriously, thank you so much for the donation. All right, guys, let's let it rip. Let's get into this ball game. What was so good about it? Zero Cool, thank you so much for becoming a member. We got D. We got Chad in the chat. We got Dave Kaplitz. We got all of our members watching live on a replay. Steve Lawn, Eric Douglas, thank you guys kindly. Dominic Oliveira, as always, Oliveri rather. I'm going with 7. Well, at least we split this series just for fun, Wardy. How many runs will our boys score tomorrow? I hope they score 7. Big series beginning tomorrow against the Diamondbacks, and we'll see how that fares, folks. But we got to get into it. Let's talk about the dominance that was Brandon Nimmo and this Mets team. Guys, continue to spam those W's as you're watching live on a replay. I want to see your initial reactions to this amazing victory in the chat, in the comments down below. Thank you so much to Jason as well as Zero Cool for becoming new members on the platform. If you too want to become a member in the platform, click the link down below, deeper in the description of this show. Check it out where it says become a member today. Click that link. You'll have your membership options and join today should you guys have interest. us. Final thing, AZ with the 10 aha right away says not happy with the series split, but who cares when you put up a 19-piece, baby? The Mets are the best team in baseball. Yankees fans are having nightmares. Devin Williams got pulled out of the closer spot because Buddy's seen nightmares every night. A polar bear going oppo on him. Absolutely hilarious. Mets W, put in the books. Guys, breaking down this ball game, it starts here in the first. We got on the bump for the Nationals, a soft-tossing right-hander in Trevor Williams, a guy that us Mets fans know very well as he was a Swiss Army knife of a swingman option for the Mets a couple years ago. I got no ill will with Trevor Williams, but I'm glad the Mets beat up on him and this putrid Nationals bullpen that gets exposed yet again, everybody. And this ball game between Trevor Williams and Griffin Canning starts in the first, where Francisco Lindor would fly out there on the first out. Then we see Soto ground out. Mind you, Juan Soto entering today's game after that first ground out is grounding out right now at an obnoxious percentage, over 10% higher than his league average. So that's something that, too, as he gets more to groove of, we're going to be happy to see spread for all fields and things be that way. Shreks, thank you so much for becoming a new member. I appreciate that, especially for the 20 dubs. We're happy to hear it. Kevin Kane with the $5. Thank you so much. The Soto no RBIs. Don't care because he's hitting the ball the right way. 2-hit game, 2 in a row, and rip Bozo Nimmo haters. Absolutely. Dave with the $5. Justin Timberlake says to Urena, bye, 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 bye. Representing Beatty here. I'm his cheerleader. Let's go, Beatty. We love Beatty, but no one gives a rat's you know what about Brett Beatty right now as the boys just put up 19 with Jeff McHits helping lead the way. We cannot forget this. Brandon Nimmo was a star in today's game, absolutely, but we got to talk about what's going on with not just Nimmo, but another lefty bat that's making me shut up and you shut up, and that's Jeff McHits, more like Jeff McDoubles, Jeff McTriples, Jeff McBombs. We got it all today, baby. And Jason, thank you for the kind words too. Really happy to have you and your support, guys. And as we continue breaking down the ball game, the Mets go down in order in the top of the first, facing their former friend and Trevor Williams as Pete Alonso strikes out swinging for the final out there in the first. And the bottom of the first, everybody, we would see C.J. Abrams line out, James Wood with a ground out, Luis Garcia then with a walk. He would then steal his 4th bag of the year, but that doesn't matter because Nathaniel Lowe grounds out, and that does it there for the first, everybody. As we then get on to this second in this masterful 19-5 victory for the Amazons, Jesse Winker grounds out. Mark Vientos rips himself a single that we saw, and that was great to see. Then on a pass ball, we would see Vientos get to second base. Brandon Nimmo with a runner's scoring position. What does Brandon Nimmo do today? He makes contact. Nimmo rips himself a single. Vientos sadly doesn't have the speed, so he stays there at third. Runners at the corners for the Mets to try to get early offense, and who gets the offense started from the Mets today? It's not Jeff McNeil. It's not Brandon Nimmo. It's Francisco El Troll Alvarez. What a dog. Alvy in his first 3 games back, he's a dog in every single one. Game 1 is single and throws out a batter. Game 2, single-handedly wins the Mets the ball game by calling an absolute gem on the defensive end and offensively ripping a liner for an oppo bomb, a 2-run shot to give the Mets that 2-0 lead in Game 2. Torrens was great yesterday. We all saw Luis Torrens driving runs yesterday, but Alvy's back today and he's making a difference. Folks, we got to have the early conversation. Do the Mets have the best catching tandem in all Major League Baseball? It's up there. It's exciting. Alvy's comeback swing looks fantastic, and he's spreading for all fields. Can't get enough of it. But this time he pulled a baseball. Alvy rips one that we saw there down third base area, and that drives in a run that gives the Mets their first run of the ball game, their first of 19, mind you. McNeil, thank you so much, John, with the $5 holla. Take that, McNeil haters. Hey, as I'm one of those in the past. That's okay. Thank you for the donation. Zero Cool with the $5 holla says Nimmo has started to take pitches, getting himself in good counts. It's leading to better at-bats. Nimmo needs to get back to being an on-base machine. He does, and if Nimmo goes back to his normal approach, naturally, the power is going to come along with it, because Nimmo has 30 home run power, just as much as anybody in this lineup, but he doesn't need to be the plate setter anymore. So drive in runs with that power. Go opposite field. We know he smoked so many baseballs this year that have led to groundouts or lineouts right away. Brandon Nimmo finally had luck, not only on his side, but he was finally absolutely destroying baseballs and hitting them or they ain't. We're talking all the way out of here there. We're going all the way back to Flushing with some of these baseballs. What a day for Brandon Nimmo. Where the F was this since Friday, Matthew? Who cares? It's here now. That's all we got to care about, right? But as we continue on, the Mets take a 1-0 lead that we see there in the second inning. And after that Alvarez double, it quickly becomes 2-0 as Jeff McHits, more like Jeff McSack fly. That makes it 2-zip Amazons as Luis Angel Acuna grounds out for the final out of the inning. Acuna's first couple at-bats today weren't great, but he picked it up big time in his final 3. What his study is. I'm obsessed with this lineup. Final thing too, I'll say, folks, this is the most prototypical lineup that you could ask for. This is exactly what I was preaching. You guys asked me in post-game a night or two, Wardy, what is your ideal lineup? And my ideal lineup is Brandon Nimmo batting 6th, Acuna batting 9th. That is exactly what we got today, and it was so effing perfect. Lindor at 1, Soto at 2, Alonso at 3, Winker at 4, Vientos at 5, Nimmo at 6, Alvey at 7, McNeil at 8, and Acuna 9. That is as deep of a lineup as any in Major League Baseball. It was disgustingly good in this big game where the Mets had over 20 hits, scoring their 19 runs. Makes sense. If you're going to get 19 runs, you're going to put the ball in play a lot, everybody. And in the bottom of the second, we would see after 1 out as Keeper Ruiz would fly out. Dylan Cruz then gets on with a 1-out single. Then Tenna would be called out on strikes. Nice placement there by Canning. Then Alex Call rips a single, so there's runners at the corners with 2 out. And Jacob Young would be striking out, swinging. Fantastic job by Griffin Canning to work out of his own mess. Something that you'll see a continuation of from this entire thing. This was inevitable, Wardy. Kevin, I'm glad. I'm really glad that you think that this was inevitable because that means that the boys are breaking out, right? Because they're 20-9 on the season. The first team to record 20 wins this year, and the Mets have not at all been clicking on all full cylinders. The Mets put up 19 runs today and had a series where Juan Soto drove in 0 runs. 0 runs. Just imagine how much better this team can be when Juan Soto starts to pick it up and actually exemplify that power. Just imagine how much better this team can be than what it already is. Manaea, Montas aren't here, and the Mets have the best team ERA in the National League by over a full run. Over a full run. The Mets currently sit at 2.36, and their team ERA, they're out of the National League. No one else is even close, baby. No one else is close. Even if we're not getting more than, say, a 5 or 6 inning outing, the boys have been nails pretty much every time out there for the entire first month of the season. SR with a $5 holla. Thank you so much, SR. He says Lindor needs some love too. Getting hit in the back by the same pitcher in the same inning, that was absolutely ridiculous. And we'll get to that. Lindor didn't have much offense for the Mets today, but that's okay. Even with him getting hit by pitch not once but twice in the same game, like you, I saw red and I was thinking Buck Showalter Mets back in 2022 when SNY would always post those highlights of like the music running and the zoom in, like seeing red basically, like we got to do something about this. But I think the Mets did enough today to prove their point that they're the better team. And you want to know what my biggest takeaway is out of this entire victory today, and we got so much more to get into here, so I'll be brief. It's the fact that the Mets beat themselves in their walk-off losses. The Mets should have won every single game of the series. When they were walked off, that's because CJ Abrams somehow went first to home because McNeil couldn't handle a ball up the middle. And then yesterday, the Mets were walked off when they had a 6-run lead, but Juan Soto somehow, someway misses a ball in the sun and unravels from there. And Ryan Stank, sadly, is not a reliable option right now as the Mets' closing option. Regardless of that, the Mets beat themselves, and we can all agree. There was nothing about this Nationals team the entire series that had me saying as a Mets fan, the Nats are clearly looking like the better team. No, they took advantage. They have a lot of young, exciting pieces in CJ Abrams, James Wood, obviously Alex Call for the most part, even though entering the series he didn't do too much outside of what he did today offensively. Dylan Cruz is electric for them. They have a nice young core. Nathaniel Lowe solid too. He had an opposite field bomb off of Urena towards the end of this ball game. But it's the fact that there wasn't even a second where us Mets fans, at least me as a Mets fan, said to myself, this team is clearly better. Was never the case. The Mets beat themselves and their walk-off losses, and it's great to see them put the nail in the coffin and shut up everybody that had concerns heading into today's game. Andres, thank you so much for the $2 holla. First team to 20. All those haters real quiet. Absolutely. LFGM. Pat W, thank you so much, Pat. Pat says in the chat, Mets offense, Nimmo was great. Urena was not impressive. Not too happy with the fact he struggled against the Nationals in the series after sweeping Philly. I 100% understand that, and Urena wasn't great to begin with. Shreks, thank you so much for the $1 holla. Frank Sessa says, at least we forgot about Sunday. Absolutely. I mean, the Mets lost yesterday? I wouldn't know. Daniel Denny with the $2 holla says, what would you grade for the first month? This is an easy A+. The Mets have never had 20 wins in the month of April in their existence of an organization. If you give them anything under an A+ grade for the first month of the season, doing the things that they've done, Without Frankie Montas and without Shamania, then you're just not paying attention, in my opinion. So fantastic job by the boys. And as we continue on from here, the Mets were up by a pair there as we enter the third. And Juan Soto finally had his first hit of the ball game. A one-out single that we saw there ripped to center, but that's all she wrote as Alonso and Winker strike out back-to-back. The shadows were not helping the Mets as midway through the ball game, Daniel Murphy and Gary were talking about it plenty on the broadcast today. And then we saw it exposed pretty much up until the fifth inning where the Mets were like, oh yeah, no, we're going to start to hit a lot. KK, Juliet, thank you so much for becoming a captain member. We're really happy to have you, and that does mean a lot. Thank you so much for being here, folks. Mets lineup was fantastic today. And as we continue on from here, Abrams leads off the inning in the bottom of the third off of Canning with a single. James Wood would walk, so there's 2 on, no out for Luis Garcia, who strikes out swinging. And then Nathaniel Lowe grounds into a massive double play. Huge turn there by the Mets infield and Lindor to Alonso, and that does it. As we then get to the top of the fourth, the Mets do nothing. They go down, bang, bang, boom, 1, 2, 3. And the bottom of the fourth, we would see Keeper Ruiz lead off the inning with a single. Another inning where right away Griffin Canning is basically working from the stretch. Jose Tena with a one-out walk, a pop-out by Alex Call, and then a ground-out on Jacob Young. Another inning with 2 on, not a problem for Griffin Canning, who escapes the jam unscathed. Which then leads us, everybody, to the fifth inning. And in the fifth inning, Jeff McHits, more like Jeff McBombs, absolutely smokes the hell out of a baseball. First pitch swinging, you guys know just as much as anyone else if you've been following the platform, I am not a first pitch swinging advocate. I absolutely hate it. I hate the amount of pop-ups that we get in the infield from first pitch swinging or immediate groundouts, but at the same time, hitters are going to first pitch swing when they feel like they're getting a meatball down the pipe. It's just a matter of if they get under it or not, and that's the big difference. McNeil didn't get under it. He got all of it. With that torpedo badge, Jeff McNeil rips his first home run of the year, a towering shot to right, and that gives the Mets at the time a 3-0 lead. GD, thank you so much for the $2 donation. GD says Nimmo should be in the 6 hole forever. Let's see. Well, yeah, we'll talk about what Mendy does, but I do like this lineup a lot. Not just because of the 19 runs, but I loved it heading into this game. Even if the Mets didn't hit a lot, I would have said I like the configuration of this lineup, and I don't want it to be deviated too much. This is what the Mets need to roll more with. Acuna, the 9, as a perfect plate setter towards the top of the order, then in Lindor, Soto, and Alonso. And then to have McNeil, Alvarez, Bunch in 7 and 8, and Nimmo above. There's a lot cooking here, everybody. A lot cooking. So as we continue to break down from here, everybody, Mets are up 3. After they be up 3, nothing else happens in the 5th. And the bottom of the 5th, Griffin Canning's final inning of the day is his best yet. He gets a flyout on C.J. Abrams. He gets a called strike 3 on James Wood. And then a swinging strike 3 on Luis Garcia. And that does it, everybody, for Griffin Canning's final line. Listen up, Griffin Canning today, what a stud he was. 5 innings, a 4-hit, 3 walks, 0 earned run, 5 strikeout baseball for Canning. He has now dropped to a 2.61 ERA on the season, everybody. And Griffin Canning gets a strong, a rock solid out of your guy, Wardy. We're going to give Canning today a nice 7 out of 10. He won 5 Shutty and kept the Mets in it this entire time. And even though I would have liked a little bit more length, knowing how much this Mets bullpen has been beat up the last couple days, that's okay because Canning was nails and we were able to eat Jose Urena with a couple innings when Urena was still batting practice. But that's fine too because the boys won in the end. Griffin Canning was fantastic today. Even with him working the stretch most of his innings, it didn't waver from him being dominant. This is the same Griffin Canning with basically a career north of 5 ERA or so. And he's looking like just as good as any other rotation piece in Major League Baseball at the moment. Canny's a slippery little greased weasel. I say that with the utmost admiration. D-Mac, I find that hilarious, but I get what you're saying. He's a slippery little greased weasel because he's always working out of jams. He's always slipping his way through exactly when you'd least expect it, and I wholeheartedly agree. Everybody on a scale 1 to 10, let me hear from you guys in the chat and the comments down below. How would you grade Griffin Canning's final line today? Because as we take a look at his pitch mix, everybody, he had everything cooking in this one. Heavy four-seam fastball usage at 36% of the arsenal, topped out 96, sat 94.5. The slider, 27%, topped out 90, and sat right around 88. The changeup, 26%, topped out 92, and sat right around 90. The knuckle curve at just 6%, topped out 82, and sat right around 81. The sinker at 4%, topped out 94, sat right around 94. And the cutter that he threw just twice sat right around 88 miles per hour. Griffin Canning, have yourself a day, baby. Once again, another fantastic, rock-solid outing from the veteran right-hander in his first year with the Mets. This was a guy that we thought would be the sixth starter heading in the season. No Frankie Montas, no Sean Manaea, and no problem for this amazing Mets rotation a month into the season. We'll see what May has in store for them eventually, but so far, so good. And guys, as we continue getting back in this one and breaking down this amazing victory, smash that like and subscribe button as you chime in. I greatly appreciate that. Really, really do. 8 for Whiffen today. You grade on a scale. He's the 7th starter, for heaven's sake. Absolutely, he's been fantastic. I'm still going 7, though, because I usually don't even go past like 6.5s if you don't go beyond 5 innings, regardless of how effective or ineffective you were. But I've been a bit more lenient with my grades, and when I'm really conservative and otherwise stubborn, because I'm witnessing with my own very eyes. Tyler McNeil was much better than his previous line, where he gave up 3 earned yesterday, and he still was deserving of a good grade, in my opinion. Griffin Canning falls in that category today, too, which was a sharp outing for him. But as we continue on, everybody, we are going to be taking live callers before the live show ends. Once we are done with doing everything for our replay viewers, especially once we cut things off, we'll start to take live callers from there. So we're still about, I'd say, 15 to 20 minutes away from live callers, so just make sure you guys are staying patient. Have your calls ready. We're going to do it through StreamYard, which I'll have linked in the chat for you guys. You'll be able to call in, ask whatever questions you want to ask, share whatever input you want to share, and we'll break down what was an amazing latest victory for the Mets, as they are now the first team in baseball to get to 20 dubs. Richard, I know you're a tough cookie, baby, as am I, and I appreciate you being in here. But as we continue on, in the top of the 6th, we would see Pete Alonso ground out. Jesse Winker then would get on via walk. Mark Vientos, too, would get on via walk. And here comes Colin Poche, who comes in here for Trevor Williams. And what happens? You bring in a reliever to face Brandon Nimmo. What do you think is going to happen? Brandon Nimmo has a no-doubter. His one, a multiple today. A towering shot, a 3-run ding-dong, folks. That gets me so giddy to say. Brandon Nimmo with already his 5th home run on the season. That makes it 6-0 Mets. And like each and every one of you, I too fell in the category of, okay, we're up by 6, but I'm having PTSD because we blew a 6-run lead yesterday. Can we be better, please? Darren, how we doing? All things Mets talk, how we doing? Giovanni, Chuck, Miguel, Richard, JP, everybody and your mother, we're happy to have you in here breaking down the latest in Mets land after a 19-5 amazing victory. The Mets make it 6-0 with that Brandon Nimmo home run, and then after 2 outs, Jeff McNeil casually rips himself a triple, an opposite field triple. It gets past Alex Call there in left field. McNeil's rounding first, he's rounding second, and he's safe, standing with a triple there at third as Jeff McTriples, and Luis Angel Acuna unfortunately would be called out on strikes to end the inning, but not before the Mets did more damage. They're up by 6, and here comes everybody. No panic, Kranick. What is Max Kranick going to do in relief today for Mr. Griffin Canning? He does the following. He strikes out Nathaniel Lowe. He gives up a 1-out single to Keibert Ruiz. He gets a big ground out on Dylan Cruz, and then a ground out on Jose Tena for another clean inning of work from our guy and Mr. Max Kranick. Kranick has been nails for the Mets this season, and now Max Kranick, everybody, has a 2.55-year RAS as reliever so far. Not too shabby when you consider that the bulk of those runs all came from pretty much one game for the most part. You did miss the post-game jingle, but don't worry, Paul. If you guys want me to run the jingle one more time before we wrap up the live show later, I will gladly do that for you guys. You just have to spam it in the chat that you want me to do it later on. Otherwise, I'm going to completely forget because I'm rapid fire when I do these live shows, and it's easy to not acknowledge these things until after the fact. But as we get on to the top of the 7th, Francisco Lindor gets on with a hit-by-pitch right away, and this is where everything goes awry for the Nationals and their shitty bullpen. Juan Soto then rips a double, his 7th double of the season, everybody. So the Mets have runners at 2nd and 3rd right away with no outs for Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso, feeling Jeff McNeil, feeling Brandon Nimmo with all the first pitch attacks. He, too, has himself first pitch swinging. This time, a single right up the middle drives in the Mets' 7th run of the ball game, and they're up 7-zip just like that. But oh boy, did things get from bad to worse there for the Nationals and their squad. Jesse Winker then gets on with a walk. Mark Vientos would strike out, and here comes Brandon Nimmo, everybody. Brandon Nimmo rips a effing grand salami. Are you kidding me? His 6th home run this season. Already a ridiculous amount of RBIs. Brandon Nimmo with 7 RBIs on the day at this point in the ball game. The boys are up by 11, and they would still score 8 more runs in this ball game. It's absolutely ridiculous. Shreks, I love you, baby. We're happy to have you back as always. Zero Cool, Adam, Luis, D, Mr. Chicken, everybody. Happy to have you in the chat, guys. In the comments down below, let me know all your key reactions from this latest amazing victory. Mets put up 11 on the Nationals. They put up 7. They put up 5 in particular in the 7th inning. Alvarez then rips a single. Acuna rips a 2-out single. Lindor gets hit by the pitch for the 2nd time in the inning by the same effing pitcher. I don't know how that happens. That feels like it's the first. And it's actually the first time in 11 years that someone has been drilled twice in the same inning in Major League Baseball. The last time it happened was Brandon Moss, for some context. So yeah, it's been a hot minute. Thankfully, he was fine and both hit by pitches. But Lindor's a ball magnet there, and what was a 5-run 7th inning for this Mets team off of that bullpen for the Nationals. In the bottom of the 7th, we would see Jose Urena come in, and Jose Urena has a clean 7th inning, a 1-2-3. He gets a fly out on Call, he gets a ground out on Yan, and a line out on C.J. Abrams, and that then leads us to the top of the 8th. In the top of the 8th, we would see Alonso gets on with an infield single. Then we see Winker get on with a single that he pulls to the right. Then Mark Vientos gets on with a walk because, of course, the Mets have bases loaded, no outs, setting up Brandon Nimmo. And what does Brandon Nimmo do, everybody? Brandon Nimmo is as advertised. He rips his 4th double of the season, his 3rd extra base hit of the day. Folks, Brandon Nimmo had an I shouldn't even say that. Brandon Nimmo had a godly day. We know how much he is a heavy Christian and loves pointing up to the sky to the Christ himself there every time he gets down the first baseline. And he had himself a spiritual, truly magical day there at the plate. Brandon Nimmo was a man, an absolute beast to say the least. He goes 4 for 6 on the day, Brandon Nimmo, with not 1, but 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, a 218 average, and a 679 OPS, but who cares? All we're caring about is the fact that Brandon Nimmo just had far and away his best game ever as a New York Met. We're saying ever because that's a statistical fact. Brandon Nimmo joined Shohei Ohtani as the only lefty batters in recent MLB history to have the accolades of a 2-home run, 9 RBI type game. And Brandon Nimmo is also the first Met again since Carlos Delgado in late June of 2008 to record 9 RBIs or greater in the same ball game. Absolutely insane to see what Brandon Nimmo was able to do for this Mets team today. I cannot get over the production from Mr. Nimmo himself. And honestly, I think we all have to ask ourselves, was that good? Was this a decent day for Brandon Nimmo? Obviously, I'm being a smartass right now. What a great game for Brandon Nimmo. And this is the kind of confidence boost that not only he needs, but this Mets team needs from a guy that's going to be in vital positions with runners in scoring position. Because what has been the big gripe all season long with Brandon Nimmo to this point, everybody? You know it, I know it, let's talk about it. It's Nimmo's ineffectiveness with runners in scoring position. He hasn't been the only one. There's been a plethora of Mets bats that haven't stepped up early in that spot. But for Nimmo to step up today the way that he did and to help this Mets team with runners in scoring position bat over 500. The boys were 10 for 17 with runners in scoring position today, folks. And they still left 10 on base. They left 10 on base and they still went 10 for 17. What a tremendous game. And we will absolutely play the jingle again before the live show's over in a little bit, guys. Don't you worry. That'll be after we take live callers and have a lot of fun today. But Brandon Nimmo, more like Brandon Nimmo. What a day for Brandon. And Mets fans, my question is to everybody watching this live and the comments down below. So to all of our replay viewers, please drop them in the comments down below. Would you like Carlos Mendoza and the Mets to stick with this lineup, or would you prefer that they deviate away from it? Because I'm sorry, if it ain't broke, why fix it? You got a 1 through 9 as deep as the Mets did today, with Lindor batting leadoff, with Soto in the 2-hole, with Alonso batting third. Batting fourth, we're going to have there and Mr. Jesse Winker at DH, who had a great game against his former team. Winker really stepped up big time with multiple hits and 4 runs scored. Mark Vientos, who obviously had a big game that we'll get into shortly, batting fifth. Nimmo sixth. Alvarez 7th, McNeil 8th, and Acuna 9th. Having McNeil in center and having Acuna at second base is honestly a dream come true from yours truly. This is exactly what I've been wanting. I want Acuna to get daily reps the same way that I want McNeil to be in the lineup if he's going to be productive. And by God, has he been productive for this Mets team since coming back. If we exclude the little defensive blunder there in the first game of this series, that obviously bothered me then, but doesn't really bother me now. Jeff McNeil has done his part, and this entire Mets lineup absolutely bangs everybody. And let's talk about the remainder of this ball game, because at this point, the Mets are up 13-0. They would still have themselves 6 more runs. The Mets would still score 6 more runs after this and give up 5 in the process. So after Nimmo's 4th double of the year, the Mets are up 13-zip. Jeff McNeil would ground out to make it 14-0. And we have to go back to Jeff McNeil just for a second, everybody, because we talked plenty on what Brandon Nimmo and Griffin Canning did. But Jeff McNeil deserves a rightful spotlight today as a key performance in one of our player takeaways today. What are Wardy's players of the game? Well, if we did a top 3, you got to have Jeff McNeil in there, because he had himself his best game of the season yet and cannot be understated. Jeff now coming back for the Mets. He's hit in every single game coming back from injury that I believe we've seen for the most part, and now utilizing center field as solid as he has. As long as McNeil can just be competent in center field for the time that he gets starts there, the Mets lineup is as good as any. Like, they have so much potential, in my opinion, with what they're able to do with McNeil as well as Acuna, and then obviously Tyrone Taylor when they want to bring Taylor in for certain situations. You have a lot of options there, but Jeff McNeil, everybody, take a look at his day. 2 for 5 is his final line with a home run, a triple, 3 RBIs, and a .333 average for still over 1,000 OPS. And as someone who has been as difficult on Jeff McNeil and has been as blunt regarding Jeff McNeil as ever, as a talkie in the space, and I know I have, I am more than happy to eat my words, because if you guys have followed the content, then you know very well, even if I like someone more than another for that position at second base, in the case of Acuna, and I stand by that, it doesn't mean that I want McNeil to not succeed. If anything, I hope McNeil proves me wrong and thrives. And I said that McNeil gets on a heater. If McNeil plays well, I'm absolutely going to be supporting the guy. Because not only did McNeil rip himself a home run with a torpedo bat, which was great to see, so we're seeing that power exemplified before our very eyes, but we're seeing someone that is clearly having his worth with this Mets team still, and the Mets see it as well. And this is where I'd actually like to not apologize to anyone in particular, but just apologize for being wrong. You know, heading into the season, I didn't think that McNeil had much value, given it, even though he had versatility, I didn't think the quality was as much there. And shame on me for thinking that Jeff McNeil still can't be a reliable option for the Mets, not only as a bat in times, like today especially, but also with his defensive versatility. Without Jeff McNeil, the Mets would be toying with different options and center field. And even with McNeil in center field today, Jose Azcar still got on base because Ahmad Rosario was the pitcher for the Nationals before this ball game was all said and done. So I have to give credit where credit's due. Wow, that pick of McNeil is tough. Isn't it a great pick of Jeff? I absolutely love it. I haven't found many smiley picks of McNeil, but I found this one a little bit ago. So as many times that I get a chance to utilize it, I try to do exactly that. But Jeff McNeil, everybody, he is absolutely one of our key standouts on the offensive end today. A home run, a triple, 3 RBIs, a .333 average, and over 1,000 OPS. He deserves the credit there. I'm happy to swallow my pride and be wrong for the times I've been wrong. It's been plenty this year. It's been plenty every year. But if Jeff can just go out and play his way, play the way he's supposed to, give the Mets key defensive versatility, and hit the way that he's supposed to hit, I am going to have very little to complain about as a fan. Just go out and play, Jeff. That's all we're asking, baby. A happy Jeff is a happy Mets team, because it doesn't throw off the mojo. Because we've heard a lot of Mets fans saying, including myself to a degree, that, oh, Jeff is this star cloud as soon as he enters the team. The Mets had 7 straight wins at home, and then, of course, they lose their first game with McNeil being a defensive blunder. Even with McNeil being at fault to a degree there with a defensive issue, it doesn't change the fact that we also need to make sure on the value that every player has on this roster, and the Mets have him for a reason. Whether you like it or not, he's here, so he needs to thrive. He's been thriving, and I would love to see more of what we got from Jeff McNeil today. That would make me very happy as a baseball fan. So let's go, Jeff, and let's continue breaking down this ball game, because the boys are up 14-0 here. And it would get better. Luis Angel Acuna rips himself an RBI single, because he's like, you know what? We're already up by 14. I might as well add some offense myself. Acuna adds to the hit parade, and this was before it was against Ahmad Rosario, so that is important context. This is here in the 8th inning when they still had a reliever in. Tyrone Taylor comes in then, pinch hit for Francisco Lindor, and he would strike out swinging. In the 9th inning, we would see Jose Urena become batting practice. He gives up a bomb back-to-back to James Wood, as well as Nathaniel Lowe. And they would go on to score 5 runs on Jose Urena in this inning. But I'm not going to break it down each exact at-bat. Just know that Jose Urena was sadly batting practice and is a guy that will not be starting for the Mets this Wednesday, as Brandon Waddell, the lefty southpaw with a 1.5-year rate over 20 innings or so far this year in the minor leagues, he will be getting that start more than likely for the Mets in Game 2 of their 3-game set against the Diamondbacks as that 6th starter, barring changes. We talked about that in a video that dropped in the AM today, but just to reiterate it there, be on the lookout. The Mets will have a 6-man starter, not named Jose Urena more than likely now after he pitched a lot today. Ate a good amount of innings, but also pitched more than I think the Mets were initially hoping or expecting. He was just batting practice there in the 8th inning that led to 5 runs scored. But that's okay, everybody, because after the Mets still have themselves a 15-5 lead getting into the 9th inning, they're truly waving the white flag, that being in the Nationals. We would see Jose Azcar rip a single up the middle off of Ahmad Rosario. Ahmad Rosario, former Mets top prospect, a man that I will always appreciate, always be a fan of. I watched him back in Double-A in attendance there against the Reading Fighting Phils with him and Dom Smith back when they were our heralded prospects back in the day. It's crazy to see how much has changed since then. Both of them are fringe MLB players. Dom's on the outside looking in, and Ahmad can still hit pretty well for the contact. He's just not good defensively. Rosario comes in. He's lobbing 40-mile-per-hour meatballs. He can't even locate the zone. Pete Alonso gets on with a walk because he throws above Alonso's head, and then that sets the stage for Jesse Winker, who gets in on the hit parade even more. Winker rips the Mets' 16th run of the day driven in. It's 16-5 Mets with an RBI single by Winker. Then it becomes 19-5 because Mark Vientos says, how can I stat pad like an absolute mofo against the Nationals right now? And he takes effing Rosario deep. I was laughing my ass off when I saw him take him deep because I'm like, I'm not going to put this in the highlights. I love you, Mark. I love you to death. But we're not making a highlight reel about you today when you're doing batting practice against Ahmad Rosario. But he did it. And funny enough, Mark Vientos not only hit his 3rd home run this season, and Vientos continues his hit spree because he's been hitting much better the past 2.5 weeks, 1.5 weeks at least that we've seen. But that was Mark Vientos' first home run ever of 3 runs. Mark Vientos has never hit a 3-run home run until today. I don't know how in the hell that statistic is true, yet it is. Marky V, a 3-run Nane, a towering shot that we got from him, and that was fantastic to see. Chad, thank you so much for the $5 holla. Bottom of the order smoked them today. The entire lineup smoked them today, baby. But you're right, Chad. The bottom of the order definitely played up to its part and then some. As we continue on from there, the Mets are up 19-5. They will go on to win 19-5 as Alvarez would get on with a walk, Acuna with a single, and Taylor with a single. They're off of Ahmad Rosario in that same inning, which then leads us to the bottom of the 9th. And we would see Nathaniel Lowe with a 1-out walk, Riley Adams with a strikeout, and Dylan Cruz strikes out swinging, chasing down and away. Jose Urena gets the job done one way or another, and the Mets win this one by a whopping final score of 19-5. Oh my goodness, Steven! You absolute beauty! Steven, this isn't the first time you've done this, but it's always appreciated just as much as if it was the first. If you guys don't know Stephen A in the chat, he's been a longtime follower on the platform. He's actually called into the show a couple times in the past, too, which I appreciate a lot. Steven, if you want to call on the show, baby, we're going to be taking live callers here in just the next 10 to 15 minutes, so be on the lookout for it. We're going to do that here shortly. Stephen A. dropping a $100 donation in the chat because he's being as generous as ever. I can't thank him enough, especially as a full-time creator and dad. We need as many dollars as we can to keep things afloat on a daily basis, and I'm not just saying that for the sake of saying that. It's an absolute fact. That's why I never ask for donations, but they're always beyond appreciated when they come in. Thank you so much, Steven. I cannot begin to tell you how much I appreciate that. Hey, Tyler Wardy, LFGM, love the massive win today. My boy Brandon Nimmo did his thing today. And Jeff McNeil, you have a beautiful baby boy, Shay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I hope you and your family are doing fantastic. Congrats again. Keep doing your thing. Stephen A., you keep doing your thing, my man, as an amazing Mets fan. And you want to know even better story about Stephen A., and I know Steven knows this. I'm pretty sure there was a period of time where Steven didn't chime in the chat for like north of a year. Like I don't know what happened. He was just MIA, had life to deal with, as is the case with everybody, because I interact with people in Mets games and the chat as well that say, Wardy, first time in here in a hot minute, first time in like 6 months or a year because I've been busy. I'm like, not a problem. We're happy to have you in here. But Steven has been beyond supportive. He's done this on multiple occasions, and they're never asked, but they're always appreciated. So Steven, thank you once more for the donation. To everyone that donated, whether it was a 99-cent donation or a $100 bomb, the way that Stephen A in the chat just did, know that they all go such a long way, and I can't thank you all enough for making that happen. Seriously, thank you, thank you, thank you. It makes these wins even that much better. I'm spoiled. I am spoiled as a Mets fan because not only do I get to break down amazing victories like today, but I get to interact with thousands of people every single day. This show is going to be at least, what, a 7,000 to 10,000 show between live and people watching on replay. It's going to be absurd. And this happens basically on a nightly basis after every big win because of how amazing each and every one of you Mets fans are. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you so much for making my dream a continued reality. The fact that I am now a reoccurring host in Bleacher Report every day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The fact that I'm a reoccurring contributor with the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. The fact that we are having amazing things set up at Citi Field that I'm going to be breaking down shortly for you guys in the next week or so. So be on the lookout for it. I just can't thank you enough. Richard, I know that you've donated dollars in the past too. You're the absolute best. All you guys are. Thank you kindly. But before we get on to the live callers, everybody, and before we cut things off for people on replay, let me relay the following numbers, because the Mets were not only 10 for 17 with runners in scoring position today, and not only are they the first team in baseball this season to get to 20 wins, 11 games above 500, guys. I feel like I'm going to cry. Correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty much this time last year, maybe like 2 weeks ahead from now last year, the boys were 11 games below 500. You see how much things can change? You go from 11 games below 500 by mid-May last year. This season, we're right towards the end of April, and we're 11 games above 500. Without Frankie Montas, without Sean Manaea, and without Juan Soto doing a damn thing outside of getting on base at a solid clip right now. Like, are you kidding me? What a run the boys have been on. And yes, I've been a contributor with SNY as well, both with them and the New York Post pair together, and SNY just by themselves. I'm very grateful for all the opportunities that got thrown my way. Same thing with WFAN as well, whether it's been with Sal, Evan in the past too. I'm grateful for it all, and I look forward to the continued opportunities I'm sure will present themselves throughout the course of the season. Edward with the $20 haul says, contributions, Mets runs today. Absolutely, Edward. Thank you so much for the donation, baby. I really appreciate that. What a day it was for not only Edward, but all of us Mets fans as the boys went out and put up a 19-piece on the Washington Nationals, folks. Without Daniel Nunez either. That's a great point. And we want Daniel Nunez up. I know we all do, everybody. To just make sure I didn't miss anything here, the Mets hit the Nationals 21-12. They had an expected batting average today of 331 to 312 of the Nationals. And the Mets, walk-wise, they walked a total of 4 batters. They struck out a total of 9. The Nationals today struck out a total of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So both the Mets and the Nationals tied in strikeouts today. The Nationals also walked us, 4, 5, 6 times. But the effectiveness, night and day, with how the Mets approach their at-bats versus others. Seriously, absolutely insane. So very grateful for it all. Shout out to the Mets for taking care of business in this series finale, everybody. And shout out to each and every one of you for the endless support. So, folks, it is time that we start to take your live callers. So what we're going to do now, to everybody on replay, we're going to cut things off. But to our live callers, we're going to be live now the next half hour plus at least, taking your live callers. So all you guys need to do to call in, that I'm going to have in just a second, it's going to be a StreamYard link in the chat for you guys to click. When you click on the StreamYard link, you have to do the following steps. 1, make sure you put in your name, the same name you have on YouTube. That way I know who's who. Secondly, make sure you have your camera on, because even though I'm not going to show your actual face on screen, it'll just be your audio. I need to know who exactly you guys are, because I can't have you guys acting anything stupid, because people have been dumb in the past and we have to avoid that. And thirdly, be respectful. If you're calling in, have something positive to say about the Mets. If you have a critique, that's fine, but share what that critique is, and don't be long-winded. I'm going to be a bit more blunt today, because if we have a lot of live callers, I'm not going to be able to give everyone 5+ minutes. It has to be more of a traditional call-in show, no different than what you guys have seen on The Fan and others, where you call in, you share a comment, share a question or two, and then you're out of here and we go on to the next. So that's how today's show is going to be. I'm going to get to as many comments, questions as I can, reactions from each and every one of you, so that way we have as many Mets fans get their voices heard as humanly possible. Tyler Walker with a $20 haul. Thank you so much. 19-5 win. Love the dedication, Wardy. Tyler, I love the fact that you donated the way that you did. Thank you so much for that. Not just a donation, but in the manner that you did. 19.5 is the way to go, baby. 19-5 is the victory, everybody. Let's get into our live callers and everybody on replay. This is where we're cutting things off. Let's go, Mets, baby.